Beetlejuice is a sequel to the 1988 classic Beetlejuice, with the original film's titular star Michael Keaton returning as Beetlejuice, alongside fellow Beetlejuice alums Winona Ryder as Lydia Dietz and Catherine O'Hara as Delia Dietz. Now, if you're a fan of the original film, your first question will be, is this a worthy sequel or even a better film than the original? My quick answer to that question is yes, it is a worthy sequel, but no, it is not a better film than the original, though I believe some Jenna Ortega fans may argue with me on that last point. Ortega joins the Juice franchise as Astrid Dietz, the daughter of writers Lydia Dietz. When it comes to making follow-up films to beloved franchise properties, over the past couple of years, Hollywood has fallen into the trap of overt fan service, which detracts from a film's story and character development. A recent example is the Alien Romulus film that is currently in theaters. Romulus seems to exist simply to give fanboys nostalgia boners, throwing out the overt callbacks to other films left and right, leaving the viewer with that empty feeling that comes from a lack of originality. Beetlejuice is a film that doesn't hit you over the head with overt fan service, but uses what callbacks it does have in service of its story. Now, a big part of why Beetlejuice works is the return of Tim Burton as the director. Burton seems to have, for a moment, returned to the form he so aptly displayed in the late 1980s and early 1990s, when he was an artist with a unique, quirky, macabre sensibility that endeared his films to a generation of young moviegoers, such as myself. I saw Beetlejuice when I was 11, and I've seen it a countless number of times since. Burton seems to know when to turn up the wacky and wild in his sequel, and it helps that he is getting great performances from his whole cast. Michael Keaton and Catherine O'Hara are both at top form here, and are continuing their character progressions from the first film in grand fashion. In some ways, Keaton and O'Hara are doing the heavy lifting in this film. Keaton is pitch perfect as the comedically nasty demon forever tormenting the Dietzes. Keaton's Beetlejuice is a stalker of writers Lydia from beyond the grave, holding a preternatural fixation with Lydia and seeing her as his key to returning from the grave. Beetlejuice is like an old frenemy coming back into your life, and you can't get enough of him. Catherine O'Hara, for her part, provides almost half the funny moments in the film and is a much more sympathetic character than she was in the first film, having seemingly developed a better relationship with Lydia. O'Hara, a long-standing character actor, shines in her return as Delia Dietz. Writer's Lydia is the character who has changed the most from film to film, and her change doesn't seem to be in line with the character we left in the first film. But it's been 30 plus years, and she was only 15 or 16 when we last met her, and given that, a little change is to be expected. Lydia is now a celebrity medium, and this career choice does seem imaginable as a progression from where we last left her. Lydia finds herself in conflict as she has a strained relationship with her daughter, played by fellow big-eyed actress and fellow era-defining macabre ingenue Jenna Ortega. Ryder's performance is much more subdued than Keaton's and O'Hara's, but given the weight of her family dysfunction at the center of the story, one can't blame her character for being less fun. Lydia's story arc and her relationship with Beetlejuice and her daughter come full circle by the end of the film, and it is Ryder and Ortega's characters who appear to have grown and learned anything by the end of the film. The film, while reveling in the antics of Beetlejuice, is really about the relationship between Ryder's Lydia and Ortega's Astrid. By the end of the film, Lydia feels more like the Lydia we left at the conclusion of the first film. Jenna Ortega is at a point in her career where is it even possible to imagine anyone else playing this character in this movie? Ortega, with her large expressive eyes and her pixie girl-like traits, seems tailor-made to play Ryder's daughter. Ortega may be outshined by others in this film, but that was to be expected, given that anyone who is a fan of the first movie is not necessarily watching for Ortega, but rather the cast of familiars who are returning. But nonetheless, the Ortega fans will not be disappointed, as she exudes a charm and the acting chops to carry her weight amongst the other fan-favorite heavy hitters she is playing with. A new character who I found unnecessary was Monica Bellucci's Dolores, Beetlejuice's ex-wife and murderer. Bellucci feels wasted in this minor role, and her consequences to the film feel like they were added on simply to make Beetlejuice a tad more sympathetic. But if Bellucci's character had not existed, the story would have felt tighter and more buttoned up and given us more time spent with our favorite returning characters. Her intrusions into the film feel completely unnecessary and also bring another character into the fold who also feels equally unnecessary, and that is William Dafoe as Wolf Jackson, a ghost detective who used to be an action movie star when he was alive. Dafoe and Bellucci are wasted in these roles, and Burton should be ashamed of himself for wasting both actors' time. A particular highlight scene of the film and soundtrack that stands out is a choir rendition of the Deo song. The choir performs at a funeral scene in the movie, and you can't help but feel moved by this funeral rendition in a way that the more lighthearted rendition from the original film didn't evoke. Beetlejuice doesn't capture the magic of the first film, and in many ways it feels much more restrained, more PG and safe, which seems to track with Burton's career trajectory over the past 20 years. But the film is so entertaining and fun because it brings you back into the world of Beetlejuice. It doesn't feel like it's pandering to you, but it feels like you're catching up with old friends. The cast is excellent, with Keaton and O'Hara as the standouts. The digital and practical effects are seamless and retain that macabre kookiness that was so emblematic of Tim Burton's early films. In conclusion, I recommend Beetlejuice, but let me know what you think by commenting below.